Thank you very much for the short introduction. My name is Darren Baradan, and I am from the Erasmus University of Rotterdam. I am representing a particular faculty within the Erasmus University, and the faculty name. It's called the Institute of Social Studies. We particularly have one master program, and the master program it's called Development Studies. Now, if you're interested in the general bachelor or master program that is available at Erasmus University, you still can send me an email about it, and I will later forward it to my colleagues at Erasmus University. However, if there are further questions, I can only answer for my faculty and not for the general Erasmus University. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen now with my presentation. So, okay. So we are having the development studies program, as I mentioned earlier. We are the number one in the Netherlands, also this year in 2022, not just 2021. And we are now number 9 worldwide in 2022. So we are doing really good. And we are also number 1 in the whole of European Union for this particular subject, according to QS World Ranking. So we are very proud of that. We were founded in 1952, our faculty, and then we joined Erasmus in 2009. So before 2009, ISS was just a regular institute. We have a lot of international staff and student bodies. I will come to that later. We offer multicultural learning environment. I will also come to that later. I'll explain that a little bit. Now, that later is now the multicultural aspect. As you can see, we have a lot of students from various continents, all 7 continents, as a matter of fact. Latin America being the 3rd largest continent of students that we have, even this year as well. So the number 1 continent is always been Asia, followed by Africa and Latin America. But there are years where Latin America and Africa, sometimes Latin America is a little bit better. So that depends. So with this, within the classroom, we offer the multicultural environment, as I mentioned earlier, because there's so many different people from different background and also from different culture. This year, our average age always have been 30, but this year it has decreased by 29. So there are now a little bit more younger students in our faculty. Most of our students are government officials or working in a local NGO or private sector. There are also fresh graduates from bachelor programs as well. That means you just finished graduation from your bachelor and now you do your master's. There are not many, but there are. So slowly we are opening the doors for bachelor students who just graduated without much experience to join ISS. So there it is. Okay, this is not an updated graph. I just today received information about this graph. Every year, we normally have 150 students on average. Last year, we had 146 students. This year, we have 147 students. So the number of students is always up and down, but it's always the average of 150. This is very interesting. The total countries, I think this year from Peru, we have 3 or 4 students from Peru. Out of the last year, we had 47 different countries that came to ISS. And this year, we have 50 different countries that came to ISS. So out of the 147 students that we have at ISS, 50 are from different countries. So it's not something that you can get everywhere in the world, where you have 50 different countries in one faculty. ISS is very unique. And back to my point earlier about multicultural learning, this is exactly the reason why we say that, because there's so many different people from different backgrounds that come to ISS. Most of the students call the ISS the mini United Nations because of this particular reason. Now, I will come now to the one and only master program that we have at ISS, which we are very proud of. The program starts September 2022 for this year at least. So next year is September 2023 until December 2024. The program lasts for 1.5 years, so 15.5 months. It carries 88 European credit points. We have 5 majors. So within the Master of Development study, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 track. So you can choose, you must choose what major that you're interested in. When you apply for the program, you will be asked, what are you interested in? So you have to choose those. You have to have an English the IELTS score of 6.5. There's also a TOEFL score, but that's more on our website. IELTS is mostly used, that's why I put it here. Everything is taught in English. You do not need to learn Dutch to be in this program. So everything is in English. All our lecturers speak English during classes. We have several joint degrees and several specialization. So within our 5 major and 1 track, you can also specialize further. Students who specialize further normally would end up doing a PhD in the future. So it really depends on your career pathway. So I think the master program starts in December, as I mentioned. The BA, Bachelor Degree in Social Sciences, it used to be a hard requirement. That means you must have it. But now, for the past 3-4 years, we are not so strict about it. As long as you have good working experience to substitute with that, it will be okay. Also, if you do not have a bachelor degree in social sciences, and you do not have the right experience, you may still try, and there is a small chance that you will still be accepted. But first, you will go through an interview before you get accepted. So there is still a chance, let's say. So as I mentioned earlier, the majors, this is very interesting majors that we have at ISS. Students from Peru, particularly, they're very interested in two of the majors. Mostly they're interested in the first major, the Agrarian Food and Environmental Studies. And also the second major that most Peruvians choose is from the Human Rights, Gender and Conflict Studies. So these 2 are the most famous major among students in Peru. Other than that, we have the Economics of Development, the Governance, Development and Policy, Social Policy for Development, and we have 1 track called the Governance, Migration and Diversity track. If you're interested about this track, please go to our website and have a look at this track and see whether you would like to apply for this track and get more information on it. Now, every year, out of the 147 or 46 students that we had last year, they are all broken down into their majors. So last year we have 18 students in AFES. I know this year we have doubled it. We have 35 students in AFES in the agriculture major, and also the human rights major. As you can see, 38 on the most right. It also have now increased to 40. So these are the 2 big majors that students choose when they come to ISS. So that altogether makes up 147 students. I have already touched this a little bit. Social sciences background, not necessary. Work experience, somewhat necessary. If you have internship or work experience, that will really help you. If you do not, it's not the end of the world. You still can apply, but we will look into your letter of motivation. So talking about that letter of motivation, you please spend a lot of time writing a good letter of motivation, because if you have a good bachelor degree, you have a good working experience, but if your letter of motivation is not so good, you can also be rejected from ISS. So I suggest to really spend a lot of time writing the letter of motivation. In your letter of motivation, you can always write about your background, why you want to study at ISS, why you choose the major, and also what you want to do in the future. This is a very important information, scholarship. We do have ISS partial scholarships. So we do give 30% to 40% discount. You cannot combine it with Pronabec scholarship. This is something that you must talk to our admission office to see if the possibility is there. There's also our scholarship database. So this database, you have all the scholarship that is possible for any student to apply from any country. So we have put it in the database. So if you're from Peru, for example, you go to our database, click Peru, and all the scholarship will be there for you to try to apply. But before you apply, make sure you check all the criteria and things like this. Now, this is very important. The cost of living. Now there is the war in Ukraine and also the inflation. So a lot of things are a little bit more expensive recently. So this 950 a month is no longer correct. And now 1,100 euros a month is more reasonable because of the war and because of inflation. Your biggest expense is accommodation. Your accommodation, you stay with us, with ISS, we have our own accommodation. So if you stay with ISS, the price is between 550 to 600 euros a month. So I suggest you, if you really want to study at ISS, to stay with us because you save a lot of money that way. And also you have, I'll come to the accommodation later. Now, very important, tuition fees, it's 17,500. You can see that this is still 2022, 2023. I understand next year the tuition fees will stay the same. So it will be still 17,500 euros. And then there's the immigration fee, health insurance. You must have a health insurance in Netherlands. It's mandatory. And then the 18,000 is to show the Dutch government that you have this amount that you can sustain in the Netherlands. So in total is 33,000. But the most important is the tuition fee. The rest comes later. Well, it's not all about education at ISS, although it's the important part of your life, part of your time at ISS. Sorry, we also organize a lot of I wouldn't say parties, but like getaways, so that you also can blow off some steam. So all the time you're studying, it's also not good. So you also need to relax and enjoy. So we have a lot of activities for you. So for example, the biggest activity that we have, it's called the International Day, which is one of my favorite because you will be able to showcase your culture, your food to your fellow colleagues, your other students. So they will learn about your culture and what kind of food you have, what kind of traditional dance, costume, and so on. So this is really nice. The other activity is study trips. This is also really nice because every major will go for a study trip outside of Netherlands. For example, the agriculture major 2 years ago, they went to Romania for a study trip for 1.5 weeks. I say 2 years ago because in 2020 and 2021, it's not possible to fly. So this year, I'm not sure where they go, but no, sorry, not this year. So next year, because now the new academic intake just started. So next year in January, I don't know where they're going, but they're going somewhere. Another part which is very important is the scholas. Scholas is the consists of president, vice president, and the treasurer. They are the ears and eyes of the student. This is a very important assignment for students. So you can participate in this and it will be very good for your resume in the future. So that's something for you to think about. As I mentioned earlier about housing, we will give you housing. We have 4 buildings close to ISS, all 2 walking distance, and 2 you have to bicycle maybe 10 minutes, so it's really not that far. In the room, you have basic furniture, you have the bed, you have cupboard, and so on. You even have private bathroom and toilet, so you do not have to share bathroom and toilet. The only thing you share is the kitchen with 6 other students. So that's pretty good. And the price, as I mentioned, was 550 to 600.
Darren, disculpe, estamos en tiempo.
Okay, really quickly. I'm done, actually. This is my last slide. Okay, so please connect with us. We have various social media links here. So please join and get in touch with us. Also, if you have any questions, you can always contact me, study@iss.nl. That comes to my email. As I mentioned earlier, if you're interested in programs other than programs at ISS, you can still send me an email and I will forward your email to my colleagues. So with that, thank you very much for your time. And I hope that I've given you good information about our program.